Hello and welcome to Backstage Buckeye. I am your host, Lou Willard. And what we are going to be doing here on this podcast, or the purpose of this podcast, is we're going to be interviewing former Ohio State Buckeye athletes. So this should be really interesting. I'm very excited to get this thing started because the goal of this podcast is to peel back the onion and the layers of what it's like to be a Ohio State athlete and what the future looks like when you're not. Because, quite frankly, to be an Ohio State athlete, it means you have to be a pretty elite athlete in your particular sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, ping pong, whatever else they got up there, archery, all of it. You have to be one of the best to play up there. So, therefore, you have a level of expectations. And quite frankly, you're identified as that player or as that athlete more than you are a student. So you don't get the same experience and everything that, your average student gets, but you're also given more. So to whom more is given, more is expected. So I do understand that. But what we want to do is when we have guests on, our goal is to peel back that onion, like I said, and really get to learn a little bit about them. We want them to go as deep into it as they want, or tell us as little as they want and keep it light. Some's going to be lighthearted, some's going to be serious, but it's all going to be fun. We're going to have a good time on Backstage Buckeye. So, in order for me to do that, I feel like I have to tell my story first and peel my own onion if I'm going to ask people to come on the show and expect them to do the same. It's just that simple. So, I'll give you a little background about myself. It's going to be a lot of background about myself, but when I came out of high school, I was rated a top 5 player in the country and one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the country, depending on the publication that you looked at. And Bucknuts, which is a popular site for Ohio State recruits, had me ranked as the 13th best recruit in the history of Ohio State football. And I say that because, and another reason I wanted to start this podcast is because everybody's experience isn't the same. I can give you a guy that you all know. I won't drop his name because I have not talked to him yet. But he came in kind of unheralded, won a Heisman, had a great career, and is a D1 football coach now. And is still a friend. So everybody's experience is different. And I will tell you how my experience personally went. When you're at that point, you're also dealing with people who's been put on a pedestal. So I was identified as a football player, as most of these guys were that played at Ohio State. From the time you're 8 years old, you were a football player. You get to high school, everything revolves around you. You have college coaches. And I mean, some of you guys will remember Joe Paterno, Bobby Bowden, John Cooper, who I played for. All of these guys are coming to your high school recruiting you. So you feel like you're the man, because you're in that situation and everybody's asking you for autographs. Everybody wants a piece of your attention, and it's a lot. So you put a lot of expectations on yourself, and you also understand that you're a type A personality. So the last thing you want to do is let anybody down, more or less yourself. So as I record this podcast and get this show started, I'm going to explain to you where I am as a 51-year-old man, a father of 2, and a husband of 31 years, and been with my wife for 33. In fact, my wife is the reason that I'm sitting here and able to do this podcast now, because we got married when we were 20. And a lot of the guys you see me interview in future shows, she's known since I was in college, because we've been together since we were 18 years old. And I owe everything to her to be in this position to even sit here and do this. Because when you went through what I went through, self-inflicted, went through, I got there, I got hurt. I got hurt before I got there. I tore my ACL. I knew I was still banged up, but I came back. I played. I feel like I played well. But again, I I wasn't mature enough to handle the limelight. Like, I thought it should all be given to me without me having to work as hard as I should have to work. So I had some disagreements, And you'll see some guys come on here and tell you that. Then you'll see guys come on this show and tell you that it went great. They did what they were supposed to do. And they went to the NFL and had great careers. And that is awesome. I applaud them. I just wasn't mature enough to do that. So I basically, when you look at everything, honestly, you're self-sabotaging yourself. And until you can until you're able to admit that, you you go into a shell like I did. So I get there, everything's going well, and I realize that I'm not going to play as soon as I want to play. So now I get an attitude. Well, there's guys that played in front of me that played in the NFL for years, signed big contracts. And I thought I should just walk in there and go over top of them. It doesn't work like this, people. It doesn't work like that. You go in there back in the day, and we're talking in the early 90s when I got there, 92, you had to wait your turn. It's not like the kids that funnel in there now and go right in and play, especially with this NIL money. And I'm so glad that they're in that position to be able to do that. That is awesome. And I hope it works for all of them. But in my particular case, I was coming off an ACL injury. I was asked to be patient, and I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to listen. But this is the power of the Buckeye Network. This is why I wanted to do this show, because it's such a great network to be in. If you, even when you make mistakes that I made, which we'll get to some, when you get an opportunity, because they'll give you a second opportunity. I don't know about a third because I'm not trying to use a second one. Um, if you just apologize, guys will take you back. They'll bring you back in the loop. Because I played with some really good guys that I now talk to again that I did not talk to for, my God, 10, no, 15, 20 years. Yeah, 15, around 15, 20 years. And it was because I was embarrassed about my situation. Now, to get to my situation, okay, I quote unquote, with my attitude, terrible. Want to fuss at the coach, want to fuss at Mr. Romanoff about my academics. And so technically I flunked out. And this is what's funny about it. I flunked out with a 2.9 grade point average. So I failed one class in college, one. And it was partly because I never went and dropped them. So prior to that, I struggled with one class. Other than that, I had a 2.9, or I would have had over a 3 point. So I didn't even go drop the classes. I was so frustrated. All over playing time that I thought I deserved, but I had not earned. And at the time, I was not mature enough to know that I had not earned it. So all I wanted to do was get mad, in spite of what Coach Cooper had told me, Mr. Romanoff had told me, what my parents were trying to tell me. I just did not want to hear it. And part of that is because I had never set the bench. I'm going to set the bench. Come on, man. The game's starting. I should be in the game. Regardless of the guy that's in the game in front of me is a first round draft pick. I'm a guy coming off injuries, haven't proven myself yet because I haven't had that opportunity yet in practice because I'm coming off an injury. I got to get better first. And I just didn't want to listen. So they bring me back in the spring, I believe it's 93 or 94, one or two. I'm just getting that a little mixed up. And they go on and win the Big Ten championship in 1993. Well, I was on that team in the prior spring and the spring after, but I was not on that team during that season because I was invited to stay home because I just quit going to class, wouldn't do what I was supposed to do, wanted to get mad, thought I should just be able to show up and play football. It doesn't work like that, people. You gotta walk the line, you gotta toe the line. You have to do that now. You have to do that stuff now. So I was crazy. I was crazy. So my experience is funny now as a 51-year-old successful businessman. And like I say, I have no complaints in my life. I don't. These experiences at Ohio State is what helped form me into the man that I am now. So I go back, still didn't want to listen because they wouldn't give me a spot. So I was asked to leave for good. And that was my experience. So fast forward from then to 2013, I've ducked everybody because when I left, there was no cell phones. You got to remember, we're talking about back then for all you younger listeners in the audience. So they couldn't get a hold of me. My roommate, who I'll have on the show at the time, couldn't. Other guys couldn't. But when I finally did bump into them, it was no one was mad. It was, man, what happened? Where you been? We just want to make sure you're okay. Come back in the group. We're having a 20-year reunion of the 1993 Big Ten championship, and we really want you to be there. And this comes from the guy who won, which I'll tell you who he is once I get him on the show. But you can look it up, 1993 MVP. He had reached out to me and wanted me to come back. And so I went back, and it was like I had never left because, unbeknownst to me, I was the only one that was mad at me. I was mad at myself. I let myself down. They were just trying to be there to help me out, and I didn't realize it. So I just put myself in a shell and I avoided everybody. But then I got lucky. And the first second chance I got, this is all part of my second chance in life. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I left football and I looked at my wife and I said, I have no idea what to do. I've never had a job. I had the jobs that they may or may not give you in college. You go, we just leave that there. Um, and then, but I had no, in my mind, I had no skill set. I'm just a football player. That's all I know myself as. But I saw it that's all everybody saw me as. So I hid from that. I felt like a disappointment to my family, first and foremost, to my hometown of Urban Crest and Grove City. I felt like I just let everybody down. I put the weight of that world on my shoulder. So when I was able to get back in with those guys and go to that reunion, and I had an opportunity to apologize to Coach Cooper and Mr. Romanoff for the way I spoke to them when all they were trying to do was help me out. I'll be honest with you, we're peeling back onions. I cried in the parking lot of the shoe with them because it was an elephant off my chest, because I had no ill will towards them. They did nothing but try to help me. The Ohio State family is powerful, powerful. So at this time, 5 years prior, now actually 9 years prior, we're back to 2004 now. I had found my way in life, still wasn't talking to anybody. That happened 9 years after I started my first business, which was a home inspection business. I had it for 21 years. It worked out great. I was successful at it, still dodging people. Even when I would see some of the guys, we know a lot of the Ohio State guys get in insurance, they get in real estate. So I was in real estate just in a different aspect of it, being I was in the home inspection side of it. Well, some of them are realtors, some of them are insurance agents. You see them at same events. And honestly, I kind of shy away from them because I didn't want the questions. I was embarrassed because not because of their success or their whatever they went through at Ohio State, but because of my because I still couldn't get it through my head that it's okay. Everybody can't go play in the NFL. It takes people time. And it took me all of that time. So when I got the opportunity and got back in there, I said, I told my wife, the last thing I'm going to do is blow this second opportunity because there ain't going to be a third. I wouldn't give me a third if I can't fix this one. So it's worked out great. And in this time period, I've had a company for 21 years. I started my second company, which was a home warranty company, and we've had it now. We are in our 11th year. Our kids, my wife Mindy and I's kids are 29 and 25 or 26, and they live out of state. Both one's in Colorado, one's in Charlotte. So they're in Colorado, North Carolina. They're doing great. Life is good, and I have that reconnection with these Buckeyes. Only regret I have about that is I lost 20 years with them, because when we are together, we have fun. And we've unfortunately lost some members of our class and guys that we had played with during that time. And some of that I missed out on just because I was beating myself up. And that all goes back to it. That's a whole nother show about mental health. But if somebody wants to talk about mental health, comment, I'll reach out to you. But you go through that kind of stuff. And like I say, I think I got out of it because first and foremost, I had a very, very strong woman by my side, or I would have never been in position to talk to these guys once I did get back in contact with them. I was already over the guilt, the self. I wasn't beating myself up anymore. Um, so I regret the time I missed with them. And another big regret I have is my senior year, Ohio State. Well, what would have been my senior year, Ohio State beat Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. I don't have a Rose Bowl ring because I was cutting the food and I wasn't around for it. And that's my own fault. So the first time I actually went to Pasadena was, this is 2020. I think it was 2 years ago. My wife and I were out there and we toured SoFi Stadium and we drove up to Palm Springs. So we stopped through Pasadena and stopped at the Rose Bowl. That was the first time I had ever been. All of my buddies had been in '97, beating Jake Plummer and them when with David Boston's catch and the big run by, I believe it was Pepe, and winning that game and collecting those Rose Bowls ring with the famous picture of Demetrius Stanley, rest his soul, with the rose in his mouth. That's that's one night I really do regret that I missed, and those guys would have loved to have me, but I didn't love myself at that time, so I was just trying to get through to the day and root for them to win the game. But those are the biggest regrets that I have. I don't have anything bad to say about the university, great coaching staff, great trainers. I had great teammates, and like I said, some of them we'll still talk to on this show. And it was interesting. It was interesting because then you figure out who you are as a person, which is something that I never knew. It took me forever to figure it out. But now, like I say, now that I have, I do okay. Like I said, I have the company. We also have a company with two of my best friends called Calibration Media Group. That's who's hosting this podcast as I speak. So please feel free to go, and go online and look at that. And matter of fact, like and subscribe this show if you would, please, because we love to build it. And we're gonna do some interesting stuff. It's going to be really, really interesting because I'm curious to see how deep everybody else want to go. Because this show here that we're talking about, that I'm doing now, it may be too deep for people, but I guarantee you every show is not going to be this deep. Shows are going to have laughter. But again, I want to stress that if I am going to get on here and say we're going to peel the onion back on what it's like to be a Buckeye, how it's helped you, what you went through, I cannot get on here and honestly ask anybody else to do that if I can't put myself out there. You guys want to judge me? Judge me. That's fine. But the story's the story. It's out there. If any part of it is wrong, somebody feel free to correct me in the comments. But, that's the story as I remember it. It's been a great ride. My life is fun. I live a mile south of the stadium now. We go up, we tailgate, we have a great time. Um, I see some of the guys that I played with that's doing really well. Like I said, I won't say their names. We all see them on the TV. When you see them, they speak and we have a good time, but they're closer to some of the other guys than they are with me because I alienated myself from all of that. So we're just still getting all that back. But it's good, and I'm really excited to see where the show could take us because I know obviously we're going to interview football players, but I have a baseball player, women's basketball, men's basketball, other guys that's going to be on this show. And everybody's story is different. I'm here to tell you because I know some of them, it's not my place to tell. It's only my place to tell mine. Some of them it worked for, some of them it didn't. Some of them are doing great in life, great in life. And that's all we all wanted for each other. You know, we just happen to be people that picked up a ball, be whatever playing field you stepped on, and happen to be blessed enough to be pretty dang on good at it to be able to wear the scarlet and gray and wear this block O on your chest in front of 105,000 people. And it's wild. So you feel like you owe a certain level of expectation to that fan base because it is a rabid fan base if you have not noticed. So, guys, as we go forward, this is going, like I say, this is going to be fun. I know I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I'm just getting excited because I can't wait to have my roommate on here. I'm trying to get the guy who hosted me on here, but that one might be a little tougher. because he's kind of busy. But then I have some other guys that are doing great things in business, and I know they'll be on the show, but I don't want to announce the names until I get the actual guy on the show. But they're doing great things in leadership, great things in business. I mean, one's a VP of a real estate company. I mean, the things is there's so many success stories that it's awesome. And some of those success stories are guys that never saw the field at Ohio State. They were just on the team. But you but what people don't realize is how good you have to be to just be on the team at Ohio State. If you can dress for Ohio State on a Saturday, you can go play at a whole lot of schools in the country. A whole lot of them you can go play at, and you're just dressing at Ohio State. So some of those are those stories you'll hear. Some are funny stories from the old Park Hotel. If you guys remember the Park Hotel off of Damon's, right beside Damon's that used to be on Olentangy River Road. Neither one of them are in there now because, like I said, I'm 51 years old now, so that stuff is long gone. They actually built some really nice apartments there for the students. But this ride is going to be a fun one. I can't wait for you guys to go on the journey with me. I can't wait to hear and rehash some of the stories. And quite frankly, I can't wait to meet some of the Buckeyes who are not 51 years old like I am. And like the guys I played that are, 55, 51. I want to meet some of these 20 somethings that has been in the league and are out or still in the league if they have time. But your 30s and your 40s where they starting to form their families, I want to get to know those guys better. I know them when I see them out, but I want to get them on the show and just see how it changed when they got to Coach Tressor, when they got to Urban Meyer, and see how it changed from when we had Coach Cooper, who was a great dude. But this is going to be fun. It's going to be a great ride. I look forward to you guys, following the show. So please hit that bell so you get notifications when these shows are dropped, and subscribe to the show. And also go to Calibration Media Group .com. You'll see our sister shows. We have a couple sister shows up there: Six Rings and County, Kiss the Reviews, Fashion at 50. We have all those shows up. Please give them all a like and subscribe, and then we can all take this journey together and have a great time. Now, with that being said, thank you for sticking around and listening to Backstage Buckeye, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you much.